So every series that kind of gets out to a 2-win lead, and we'll start to preview or review a lot of the games as we go forward, and obviously there's less games, so there's more time for me to make videos on them without having to watch them, because I do watch pretty much every game, so I can obviously talk about it in depth when I make these videos, and that's kind of the ownership for me with the subscribers. We don't have very many, but I think the reason why it's jumped up 100 in a month is because there's some relevance to what I'm talking about, right? Because I'm watching the games. So I do think people have hit a chord there. So I'm going to continue doing that. But at least in this round, whenever a series gets to a 2-goal lead or elimination game, I'll make a video of can the team from behind win and what the team that is winning is doing well. So can the Avalanche come back? So as of the stat from, the only time I could find the stat was in 2016, the percentage of coming back 2-0 down in a series is 14%. And the teams that win Game 2 usually win, they win 71% of the time. And usually that's, that's a lopsided stat, because a lot of the time, at least, a fair few of those series, they'll be winning Game 1 and 2, in which case they have a huge percentage chance of winning. So don't look too much into Game 2 as the big one, because usually if the games are tied, it's pretty up in the open if you win Game 1 and the other team wins Game 2. So it's hard to come back. It's possible, and there's enough happening in this series to make it possible. I do think, especially Game 2, 5-on-5, Colorado definitely woke up this game compared to what happened in the last game against Dallas. They just didn't pull the trigger when they had to. They didn't have that do or die attitude that was lacking in last year against the Sharks. They had times to put away the Sharks, especially earlier in the series, and they were forced to go to overtime in Game 6 to put it away, and they brought it down to a Game 7. And it's like in UFC, you never go to a jury decision. You don't want to go to a Game 7. Because anything happens in a one game. Anything happens. So you need to play well early in the series. And I think they're really going to regret that Game 1. And they're definitely going to regret this game. It's not on Franco's. Can they do this with Grubauer out? From what I saw from Franco's, outside of that one goal, maybe two of them, the second and the fourth, he wasn't terrible. He wasn't the reason why they lost. They got, 5 goals scored on them with Grubauer in the net for most of that before, in the last game. Game 1. When Grubauer let in 3, I think he was a 700 save percentage, somewhere around that. So, and Franco's let in the other 2. But yeah, if you get scored 5 goals on, you're probably going to lose, especially in the playoffs. There's not many playoff games that are 6-5. It doesn't happen often. It's usually, if a team's hitting 5, it's a pretty safe winning amount. And that's the thing. They're getting some puck luck. I'm definitely not going to say that the Stars aren't getting some puck luck. You look at the Radulov goal today. It comes off a shoulder, goes in. But at that point, the Avs had a 5-on-3. They just gave up 2 pretty bad penalties to allow for a 5-on-3 that let Dallas right back into the game. You can't take your foot off the gas if you're up by 2 goals. And this is what I hate, the whole you shouldn't run up the score, or you shouldn't do that, especially in playoffs. No, shut up. Score as many as you can. Get 3, get 4, get 5. Get 3. It's much harder to come back. 3-on-5, Dallas gets back. Then Colorado gets their own 3-on-5, and they don't score. And Dallas have all the momentum in the world. They've tied up the game. They've got, power plays. Colorado went on the power play 8 times. They scored twice. They needed to score more, especially with the opportunities that they had and how good they looked. And they need someone else in this team to step up that is not McKinnon right now. I'm just not seeing it enough from this team. And penalty killing, they were very good in the round robin in the last series. It's gotten more passive, which isn't great. But this team 5-on-5 showed me something today that they've definitely got an uphill battle. Dallas are playing very well. And when I was previewing this series, the one thing that the reason why I went with Colorado is that those top scorers weren't scoring. They weren't doing anything. They're a lot more active. Sagan, I still think's got an injury, but obviously, I don't think the injury's any better than it was. But obviously, getting closer to that cup final, all of a sudden the belief's there with I think some injured bodies on that top line, and obviously, if they go on to win it or get injured, we'll find out more. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Dallas has a few injuries. But they're really doing well with their team. But the longer this series goes on for, the more it plays into Colorado's advantage. If you look at the ice times, Dallas isn't being able to roll everyone. Colorado is a little bit more, even though they're not getting points from everyone. But Francouz needs to be better than Hudobin, and that hasn't happened yet. And yeah, they need something now. They really do. The only way I feel like they can come back from this is if Francouz steals a game in the next 2 games. They definitely need to win both. I mean, I guess you can come back 3-1, but it's really difficult. They kind of need to win both, but I think Francouz is going to be... If they win this series, it's going to be a bit of a coming out party for him. You know, a bit of deer in headlights at some points today, or yesterday, I guess, if you're in America and Canada. But yeah, I just haven't seen enough from this team to be able to pull the trigger and win games when they have the advantage, or come from behind if they are behind. Where Dallas has been able to put on goals. We saw it against Calgary. We've seen it against this team. If they want to turn it up, they've got a gear. They've got a gear that they can turn it up. It's like qualifying in F1s in Q3. Like, they've just got this fun engine mode that can just snap on, and they can get a couple of quick goals very, very quickly, in different ways to score them as well. They've scored them on the rush. They've scored them, you know, with zone time on a power play. They've scored a gritty goal out in front. That's going to happen. That is going to happen, but you need to be able to come back and do things well. And I think they're doing a lot of the little things well, Colorado, where they're not done and dusted yet. This has a little bit of shades of the Pittsburgh Penguins and Washington Capitals when they were down 2-0 in the series back in 2008. It just reminds me a lot of that, where Washington got a few bounces at the start. They were able to sort of ride that a little bit, but 5-on-5, especially in that game 2, which was the double hat-trick game between Ovi and Crosby, I thought it was very even. I thought it was a very even game. And then all of a sudden they won game 3, the Penguins, and then they won game 4. And I just see a bit of that team in Colorado, in the sense that they're starting to get it together. And I feel like Dallas, this is their peak. They're playing at absolute peak here. They can't play any better than this. So if Colorado can match that, squeak out a win in Game 3, I think this is series wide open, but boy howdy do they need a perfect game in Game 3 or Game 4. They need to get a bit lucky in one of these games and then get an absolute perfect game and then series on. But if they win Game 3, I think we're in for a real barn burner of a series that can go either way at that point, even though Dallas still has a game. But if Dallas wins it, it's done. It's over. It is over. Like, yeah, Colorado still need to find another gear. They definitely have the skill, they have the talent. I've liked Makar a little bit this series. He's made some smart decisions. That guy has a really good hockey IQ. Landeskog, I think, has been pretty good. Rantanen's been fine. They just haven't gone that extra step, and I feel like they just need, even if it's a gritty goal from like a third liner or a fourth liner, Kempfer would be I know he's not, you know, a third, fourth liner, but he'd be a great player to just start the next game and score and just keep them in it. But if you looked at the way that this team does look good, and we kind of are at the point where, like, you should be doing a little bit more, but maybe we are kind of getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. If you look at some of the games that they had in the playoffs last year, it was very... They would always come back, or like they'd have a lead and blow it, and all the games were quite close. And they were a fun team to watch, but they just couldn't take command over a game. And I mean, Arizona, we kind of fell in love a little bit with Colorado because how badly they beat Arizona. But maybe we should just be thinking, well, Arizona really shouldn't have been there. They deserved to be there. They did everything fine, but yeah, maybe they shouldn't. And Colorado just outplayed them, and then they've kind of jumped up to a team that's like, oh, hang on a minute, you guys are playoff ready. You just played the Flames, who kept coming but just had brain farts throughout the series, and that's what cost them. But yeah, there's definitely like there's a weakness in the Stars team, and I think the Avs can exploit it. It's just I don't know if I don't know if this is too hard of a hill to come back on against a Dallas team that has found a way to win. They've kept finding ways to win and really scoring some good goals and getting some great defensive action. Hudobin's been better than Francouz. That's all you need from Hudobin. That's all you need. You just need Hudobin to be on par with the other goalie and hope that everyone else can play better, and that's what's happened. Anyway, guys, that is the whole video. If you did like this video, hit the like button. Otherwise, hit subscribe. It really does help us out. Alternatively, otherwise you can just comment down below. Do you think the Avs have a chance to come back, or do you think this is Dallas' series? I think this might be Dallas' series, but Avs definitely can come back. They have the ability to. We'll leave it at that. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. See you, and bye.